Morning peeps, I'm back and I woke up this morning, cracking headache, really bad, and then I remembered Argyle on the TV and absolutely fantastic peeps. I grew up around that area and I spent quite a lot of time on the terraces at home park. It's to go down to Britannia and walk up to the ground and on the terraces behind the goal. And but today's events brought it all flooding back, peeps, flooding back. Absolutely fantastic. This is what the FA Cup's all about, isn't it? And I'll tell you what made me laugh, peeps. You saw the Liverpool supporters the other day celebrating like nobody's business when they won in the Carabao Cup, weren't they? And today they lose to Plymouth and suddenly who cares about the FA Cup? You know what I mean? Well, I'll tell you what, peeps. Here's my mental health advice for the day. These Liverpool supporters, pick yourselves up and give yourselves a slap. Because to be honest, saying you don't care about the FA Cup runs down the competition, doesn't it? Because you do care. It's a great tournament and you got beat by the better team, So own up to it, suck it up and move on, peeps. Because it's absolutely fantastic for Argyle, and that is grassroots football, isn't it? That's what it's all about. Something like that in the FA Cup, So these big teams, give it some respect and at least put out a decent team, because not putting Salah and Co on your bench is just an insult, isn't it? I said to my mate yesterday, I said that Plymouth are going to do these a lot, and they did, 1-0. Thoroughly deserved victory and absolutely fantastic to see, peeps. So don't say you don't care about the FA Cup, because that's what football is all about. It's all very well beating these teams from Eastern Europe and all these other places, but it doesn't mean as much really as a great cup run for these bread and butter teams that in the lower divisions. You know what I mean? So it's not just about the Premier League. There's a lot more to football than just the Premier League, peeps. So fantastic result, fantastic. Anyway, is this not the most complicated period in FPL in the history of the game? I put it to you, peeps, it is. I spent hours and hours trying to work out what to do, and in the end, I've come up with a plan. Whether it's good or not, who knows? Because, to be honest, none of us know, do we? Because there are a lot of alternative ways of playing, and none of us really know what the correct path is until after the results, which are often decided by a bit of luck from a referee. 9 minutes injury time today in that Plymouth match. Absolutely ridiculous, Trying to get Liverpool their equaliser. Somebody was, weren't they? Giving them 9 minutes to do it. It was nail-biting stuff, peeps, but they held on. So we've got a lot to talk about today. And we've also got to have another chat with the cat because, I got my cat from the SPCA the other day, and I've been doing lots of training with her, peeps, lots of training. So I took a lace off one of my running shoes, and it's made the world of difference. She wouldn't come out from under the bed for weeks. But now she's like a completely different creature than the little thing we picked up from the SPCA the other day, So here she is, look, jumping up on the back of the couch, chasing after this little thing here that costs nothing and is 10 times better than any cat toy you can buy in the shop. So don't waste your money on cat toys, peeps. Just take a lace off your shoe and batter your cat with it because they absolutely love it. You know what I mean? And it's not going to be long before she's starting her own FPL team up at this rate, because she's coming out of her shell. And I'll tell you what, peeps, I think she had PTSD. You know what I mean? When I got her, she was completely traumatized. And she's the only cat I've had where if you open the door, instead of trying to escape, runs away and hides. You know what I mean? Because most times you get a new cat and you have to try and stop them getting out because they don't come back home again. This one couldn't. She's like myself, peeps. She doesn't like leaving the front door. She's got agoraphobia or something. Just doesn't want to go out. You know what I mean? Rather stay here with me. So she's going to be a very good FPL player, I think. She's got the mentality for it. She's not quite right. Perfect candidate for playing FPL. You know what I mean? So think on, peeps. Right, so where are we? First thing is, we'll discuss the chip. Because those of you, like myself, who use the triple captainship are wondering what to do, aren't you? Because a lot of you are looking at Emery. My problem with Emery is that I would almost certainly have to make 2 manager transfers in the next couple of game weeks. I would not be happy leaving the manager chip on Chelsea, Villa to beat Chelsea, especially with no table bonus. They probably will beat Chelsea, but I think it's too much of a risk to use with your assistant manager chip. I mean, Chelsea are shocking at the moment. Maresca's got to go. Pochettino, I didn't like him being sold off. I don't know why they got rid of him. They were looking good towards the end of last season, and now they're regressing again. We had about 2 good games of Sancho. Turned out to be rubbish. Another curse from Man United. And they're just not, he's not using them properly. I can see why people are selling Palmer, to be honest, because he's not the same player he was last season. And it's not his fault. It's the manager's fault, peeps. And they're not using him properly. As for Jackson, well, I'll tell you what though, Jackson makes them look a lot better than they looked when they had Nkunku playing against Brighton yesterday. And if you think content creators know everything, peeps, just remind yourself. Dunk, Konsa, Winks, Barco, Nkunku. The talk of the town, weren't they, at the start of the season. So you remember that come September, peeps, and you're making your team. And you've got people telling you to buy the next Nkunku or the next Dunks, Konsa, Winks. And remember just how absolutely crap they really are. Do you know what I mean? So pick your own teams and stick to proven assets. I fell into the trap myself with Nkunku, but mainly because I like Chelsea. But otherwise, you've got to keep away from these unproven things. So remember that in September. Right, so first thing, with the blank game week in 29, my first thought was play the chip now, use it on Emery, use it on my transfers, not bother taking out any of my Liverpool players or Newcastle players or whatever, and use the free hit chip in game week 29. Because in game week 29, you can actually make a fantastic free hit team. Absolutely fantastic, peeps. You can bring in 3 Man City players at home to Brighton. You can captain Haaland. You can bring in Forest players away at Ipswich. You can bring in Wolves players for Southampton. It's there's a lot you can do. In game week 29. Cause absolute havoc and propel yourself up the ranks. You can bring in Man United defenders against Leicester. And all these players are going to be big differentials. Not many people are going to have Haaland or Foden or any other, or Marmoush or any of these other players for Man City or anything. And the big benefit of doing that free hit in 29 is, like I said, you don't have to worry about transferring out players that have a blank in that week. But peeps, the more I thought about it, the more I started to see the problem. And the problem is game week 34, because it's a blank game week. We don't know how many blanks are going to be in it. But the main problem is that we're going to probably, most of us, will be wildcarding in game week 32, or just before that. We'll be using our bench boost in 33. And to use your bench boost, you want lots of players. Well, in that double game week generally, in a double game week, you want as many players as possible with a double game week, don't you? That's the whole point of them. So you wildcard, get a team with lots of double game week players in and players for your bench. But the problem is that the exact same players that have the double game weeks are going to be the same players that have a blank game week. So it's going to be very difficult to combine game week 33 and game week 34. So really, I think we are going to need our free hit chip for game week 34. So reluctantly, I've gone off the idea of free hitting in game week 29. But like I said, There's no right or wrongs here. It could work out absolutely fantastic. City could batter Brighton. You could get a really good head start on everybody. And even if your game week 34 turned out not to be ideal because you didn't have your free hit chip, you could still do very well. So, all plans are optional at this stage. The main thing is to make a plan. So, that was my next thought. So I rejected that as well. So I'm not playing my chip. I'm not playing my free hit chip. So then I have to decide whether I'm bringing in any Aston Villa players. And quite frankly, I better reset this. I don't know why it's on. Quite frankly, I do not think it is worth bringing in any Aston Villa players. I mean, Rodgers looked fantastic today, didn't he? He got a hat-trick the other day in the Champions League. He's in great form, and they've got Ipswich. And if you've got him, you're looking good, to be honest. I haven't got him. I've done the permutations. I can't get him. If I get him, it's basically costing me 4 points. And it's just not worth it for the Ipswich fixture. And he's going to have to go at some stage. Watkins, I can't get, or won't get, because I've thought about that as well. It is not worth getting rid of Isaac. You look at Isaac's fixtures, and they're not great, okay? But the big thing is, after game week 29, he's got Brentford and then Leicester, followed by a probable double, and maybe even a game in the blank as well. So it's just not worth it, especially if you sell him. He's going to cost you quite a bit more to get back than the price you sell him at. And that's 2 transfers, one to take him out, one to bring him back in, because you're going to want to get rid of Rodgers almost as soon as you've got him, because Villa's fixtures aren't great. Okay, Chelsea, he could do well. When they're away at Palace, Brentford, not terrible fixtures, but not fantastic. I mean, Isaac himself, he could easily score a goal against Man City, couldn't he, this week, or even more than one goal, the way City are playing. So really, I don't think it's worth getting rid of Isaac for Watkins, especially as Watkins is an injury doubt. There's not really any other Villa players to consider. I mean, people are talking about Rashford, Mallon. If Watford's injured, maybe Mallon's an option. But again, if you've got lots of fixtures you can do, transfers you can do this, but someone like myself, no. So I'm not playing my head. And I'm not playing my assistant manager chip, and I'm not bringing any Villa players, which means only one thing, peeps: massive red arrows all round. So the thing I think you have to learn, here's a tip from FPL: sometimes you have to be comfortable with a red arrow. You can't have green arrows every week, and sometimes, for the sake of a long term, you have to accept the fact that you're probably going to get a red arrow. And this week, with so many assistant managers, nearly everybody probably on an assistant manager, the ones that didn't activate it last week are going to activate it this week. So nearly everybody is going to be on assistant manager chip, which means instantly I'm probably going to be 20 points down on other people this week, 10 points down next week, and 10 points down the following week. And I can see why people would not like that situation, but the thing you've got to remember is we will get them back later in the season, or hopefully get them back later in the season, because there probably will be a game week in game week 36, so you can use it in game week 35, 36, 37, or 36, 37, 38. And in those game weeks, there are some good fixtures. Man City, for example, Wolves and Southampton in 35 and 36. When you could change it in game week 37 to somebody with a decent fixture. There's going to be someone with a decent fixture there somewhere. And, less transfers possibly. And the thing with leaving it late, which is what I was saying when I made the video about the chip about a month ago, was that by game week 36, 37, 38, certain teams are on the beach. You also know what you need to do in your mini leagues, whether you need to play it safe or whether you need to chase table bonuses. So that's another incentive to leave it late. And there's also less future game weeks to worry about. You know, you don't have to worry about blank game weeks in the future or anything like that. So you can, using it then, I think, is just as good as using it now, basically. The only problem is, of course, like I said, you get immediate red arrows, which is what people don't like. And you can see content creators, there's no way they're going to leave it late because they rely on showing off their ranks, don't they? And who wants to have an artificially low rank for like 10 weeks or whatever, which is what's going to happen to myself. You know, if I don't use it, I'm going to have a low, but I don't worry about that. All I care about is the rank after game week 38. That's the only thing I care about. You know, but other people like to show off their ranks. They're going to be going for the immediate green arrows, aren't they? But I don't see this period as a better time to play it than then, simply because of this game week 29. Personally, it would make it very difficult for me to plan 39, 29 using my chip, because I'd have to use 2 transfers on bringing in managers. So anyway, peeps, this is going to be my team for the game week. No Villa players, 3 Liverpool players. You know, obviously Gakpo could negate people's slot chip this week. You know, people that are using slot only have 2 Liverpool players. That's a downside for them with their chip. You know, we already saw this week I'm doing as well as them with my triple captainship. So we shall see, but I'm probably going to get a red arrow. But what you have to do, this FPL team, like I always say, is fantastic for planning because you can just go ahead. It adds up your transfers. You can see exactly what you're doing. Make transfers without them actually going through. So I've worked out, I've gone up to game week 29. And this is a state of play with my team, which FPL team makes it very easy to see. Just kick out all the ones who haven't got a fixture. And you can see here that I am, in fact, 2 players short. Well, almost 3, because Colwell, really, realistically, might as well not exist in terms of points against away at Arsenal. So I'm looking to do something about him as well. So like I said, I don't want to take out Isaac. Salah's not going to go. So Sarr and Gakpo are going to be the 2 players that make way for my game week 29. And there are a couple of players that I really want. One of them is Cunha. So I'll get Cunha in. I think the other one is Chris Wood. Now, he's got rubbishy fixtures leading up to 29, so I'm in no rush to get him. But he would be quite beneficial. So I could take out Ndoye for Chris Wood. You know, this is why I save up the transfers and not play my manager chip. Because not only do I want to get rid of players who have a blank, I also want to get rid of players like Ndoye and Colwell. So I get rid of him. I could bring in my mate Baby Goat from Bournemouth or somebody like that. I've got no idea who. Let's say Aït-Nouri, actually. We're bringing Aït-Nouri for Wolves. Because they do have quite a few decent fixtures, don't they? I don't know how much he costs these days. Let's have a look. Where is he? How many defenders have they got? No, so bring him in. Isaac's on the bench, of course, so somebody's going to have to get changed. Sar's going to have to become somebody else. And this is where I've got a bit of a sticking point because I can't afford many players. I've only got like 5 million in the bank. I could get rid of a keeper, but yeah, there's going to be a bit of work to be done, but I've still got 3 transfers left to do it all. You know what I mean? Things are going to happen, players are going to get injured, but basically, I'm well on the way to having a reasonable team in game week 29. And that is by not playing the assistant manager chip. So I'm going to keep it simple. I'm actually going into a double game week and saving a free transfer. Because like I said, I do not believe Aston Villa players are worth bringing in. Obviously, if you've got Watkins, you're doing very well, and I wouldn't be surprised if you got lots of points. But personally, bringing him in, I think for myself, would be a mistake. And I'm kind of hoping Watkins is injured, so I don't really want everyone else having him. But I won't be buying him myself. I'll be keeping Isaac. Because the form he was in against Arsenal, he looked absolutely superb the other day. And I think it would be a mistake to get rid of him. So that's about it, peeps. You know, we've had fun. It's like a magic calling sign this lady. So I just go like this. Puss, puss. I don't know where she is. She could be anywhere in the house. Suddenly, she appears. Oh. So, having a lot of fun with her actually the last few days. So, good little cat, peeps. So, get yourself down the SPCA and get yourself a little cat, you know, because they're a bit of a nuisance, you know, they kill a lot of birds and stuff. But I suspect this one here, like I said, got agoraphobia, doesn't like leaving the house, even less than I do, you know what I mean? So I can't be bothered going out. I'll tell you what I've been doing actually, Pete. I've been watching Lost on Netflix. You know, I never saw it the first time round. I think it was about 2004, wasn't it, that it came out? There was like 6 series of it, 16 episodes a series. So I must have watched about 60 odd episodes of it in the last month, you know. So I watched them all, thoroughly enjoyed it. You know, it got a bit slack in the middle, like series 4 and 5 weren't quite so good. It picked up again at the end. You know, I really enjoyed it. People said it's a load of rubbish and that kind of things don't make sense, but that's the whole point of the program, and it's a bit like FPL. You know, I mean, what sense does FPL make? You know what I mean? You do all the right moves, and it still goes all wrong, doesn't it? So anyway, that's about it. I think, you know, I'll come back and do a video of this game week at the end to see how everyone got on, because lest we forget, you know, we've still got Liverpool and Everton still to go, haven't we? You know, all planning for next week, but this week's not done yet. And if Salah got a hat-trick, you know, I could probably afford to buy Watkins and all them, but I wouldn't do it anyway. But you know, another hat-trick from Salah would be a big rank changer, peeps. You know, so I don't know what I'm hoping for results-wise. You know, obviously if Slot win, Moyes captainers don't get any points, but if Moyes captainers win, then you know, they're going to get a lot of points, aren't they? Table bonus win against Liverpool. But I tell you what, losing against Argyle is going to fire Liverpool up, and they'll do. I can't believe how crap they were, peeps. You know, that Italian bloke, Chiesa, whatever his name is, he's worse than Nkunku, isn't he? You know, but you get these players, they don't get game time and they're not happy. But then they get game time and they're absolutely useless. You know what I mean? I know they've got the excuse they don't get to play very often. But what's Nkunku at Chelsea? You know, people complain about Jackson, but Jackson's at the heart of all their counter-attacks. And without Jackson against Brighton, they looked absolutely woeful, peeps. Absolutely awful they were. You know, almost as bad as that prick for Bruggen. You know what I mean? Letting in that goal. So glad I got rid of him. But anyway, peeps, that's it. I'm off now. I've had enough. You've had enough. We've all had enough. And I can't even be bothered to go and have a look at Reddit, you know, because my headache's back. You know, all of this complicated stuff from FPL. I've got to have a go and have a lie down and sort myself out, you know what I mean? Because it's been, I'm glad I've worked out what I'm doing. So honestly, I'm not joking. I spent hours and hours and hours looking at all the permutations of all this. I haven't decided on a whim I'm not going to bring in, what's his face from Villa? What's his name, peeps? Tell me. The ex-Arsenal manager. Can't remember his name. Hopeless at names. But I'm not bringing him anyway because I've worked out it's not in my best interest to bring him in. So I've made my bed. I'm going to lie in it. And, at least I've put the effort in to come to this decision because it is very, very tricky, and it's great, isn't it? It's absolutely fantastic this year, FPL, in just how complicated it's been. I love it. I mean, a lot of people say this chip is overly complicated and everything, and it's true, but it is going to skew the ranks massively, isn't it? Absolutely massively, far more than other chips do. And like I said, I'm guaranteed now probably 3 red arrows in a row. And it's, but really the time for counting, peeps, as old Teddy Rogers says, or whatever his name is, it's at the end of the season, innit? You don't count the chips when they're still on the table, So the dealing's not done yet. And in my case, there probably is no dealing to be done because I'm not going to make a transfer. And the other thing, of course, is anyone can get injured at any time, can't they? So if you're running a really fine line with transfers and trying to get Gameweek 29 and bring Rodgers in and all this type of thing, then it doesn't take much to go wrong. Semenyo injured, Gabriel injured, anyone injured that's got a game in 29, and suddenly you're really struggling to get a team together, aren't you? So anyway, peeps, I'm off now. Talk to you all later. And I'm off to talk to the cat. So like and subscribe because the subscribers are gradually creeping up. And it's all good, peeps. So I'll talk to you all later. And after the Liverpool-Everton game, probably. So cheers for now then, peeps.